If you've been out anywhere in the world in the past months, you have heard of the movie that came from the play, that came from the book, Wicked.
With you and I, defying gravity. Wow.
It's been everywhere, and the performances were riveting, and people are raving, and whether you like musicals or not, there's something that Wicked didn't prepare us for. Why that is crucially important for you to know, because it holds the key to what's going to take you to your next level of financial abundance, your next level of creative genius, your level of impact on the world. It has everything to do with your thought leadership. So what did Wicked not prepare us for? Well, Wicked is a fictional story, and it takes place in a magical land that is not planet Earth. And what the movie presents is that, this is a fairy tale, this is fiction. And the truth is that that movie has way more to do with our actual lives and what is needed right now in the world than we ever could have imagined. What Wicked didn't tell us is that we very quickly, and some of us, this has been going on for a while, also need to defy gravity. So what I'm going to do in this video today is help you determine what is the gravity that's holding you back, and much more importantly, what are the 5 brain science-based strategies that are going to help you lift off and elevate to your next level. Let's start with the first. We can't change what we don't acknowledge. So what is the gravity that's holding you back? You can pause this video and do some free writing and journaling, but I'm going to give you a few prompts. Gravity, of course, not just the universal force that keeps us anchored to the Earth's surface, but in this sense, metaphorically, gravity is the problem you can't solve, the external situation that feels upsetting and triggering and overwhelming, whether that's political, whether that's economic. Gravity is the business trauma or other trauma that you just can't see no matter how hard you try to get on the other side of. Gravity is the glass ceiling that even though you're taking actions and showing up and writing your books and doing your videos and creating content, no one's watching or sharing or hiring you to work further. Gravity is the thing that you put your heart and soul into, the book that not enough people have read yet, or the bank account statement that is nowhere near what you need it to be and want it to be. Gravity is anything that makes you feel rotten, terrible, depressed, oppressed, and powerless inside. So the very first step in being able to action the 5 things I'm going to share with you is to define your own personal gravity. And while there might be a bunch of stuff on that list or a few things on the list, I want you to think of one specific thing that you can work with in this moment so that this becomes tangible and creates a transformation. All right? So pause if you need to. What is the gravity, the number one thing creating that oppression for you right now? Okay, that's your gravity. And if you remember the song in Wicked, right? We're through accepting limits because others say they're so, right? Who are the they? What are others saying? Whether it's your internal thoughts, your conditioning, your past failures, the world, the news, the economy, people on social media. What are the limits that others are saying are so? What we're going to do right now with these 5 strategies is liberate ourselves from those limits. And these build on each other. You might like to use one, you might want to use all 5. We're going to run through them so that you are empowered to have a breakthrough right here, right now, during this session. I'm feeling like it's a session, like we're in a workshop together, all right? So have a pen, have a journal ready so that you can take action on these. Now, the first is a game, because I think anything we gamify becomes more potent, more easily able to take action on it and not take it so seriously. So I want you to get some kind of an object. It could be a piece of paper, anything with 2 sides. It could be a piece of paper. I'm going to use this rock as an example. And on one side of your object, you are going to write, or if it's a rock, paint a P. And on the other side, you're going to write or paint an S. This is now our problem, solution, anchor object. Problem, solution, anchor, object. So the brain is wired to only be able to consciously focus on one thought at a time. And what this technique is going to help you do is decide if you are focusing on P, the problem, the gravity, or S, the solution, the potential solution to your problem, even if you don't know what that is. We have a negativity bias in the brain that programs us from an evolutionary standpoint to focus on threats and fears and anxieties and potential future threats and worries and anxieties instead of, I'm okay, it's all good. Solutions, what could help, right? We are programmed from a neurological and biological perspective to focus on the problem. So you're going to take your stone or your piece of paper and you're going to carry it around with you today, and you're going to notice, just checking it every hour, every half hour, around this issue of my gravity, am I focusing on the problem, the gravity, or the solution? Like I said, you don't have to know what the solution is. The rest of these strategies are going to help you get to one or multiple. But the trick is noticing when we're on problem and solution. The reason why is that, remember, the mind can only focus on one conscious thing at a time. And so if we're focused on the problem, it is very, very, very difficult for the creative faculties in our brain to actually bring in information that is going to help us think of solutions. We're not going to get our best creative ideas when we're obsessing on the lack of money, the lack of time, the health condition, the relationship that's in conflict, what happened in the news today, what's going on in the economy, what's going on politically. That is going to drag us down. Okay? So we got to think like Alphaba, and we're going to focus on solution. This is our mindfulness technique to just get ourselves to a place to open up. So this is the first strategy. Then we build on that in strategy number 2. What we want to do in this step is to continue the expansion into our creative genius. We're actually going to stimulate different brain waves. When we're on problem, those of you that want to nerd out on the brain science, we are likely in a high beta state. That state corresponds often with cortisol, the stress hormone, and anxiety that shuts down creativity. So when we go into this second step, we turn our rock over and go into solution, we take a breath and we're going to play the what's working now game. Okay, a little bit like a little kid's gratitude list game, right? What's working now game is you're going to put all of your attention, you're going to make a list of every single thing in your life that, despite that gravity that's been dragging you down, is actually working. So what could this look like? Let's say you are stressed about finances. You want to invest in your book publication. You want to invest in marketing. You want to get some more help so you're not working 80 hours a week. You want to pay your car payment for the month, whatever it is, right? So your gravity is the perceived lack of your financial supply. When we start to play the what's working now game, we take our attention off the lack of money or time or health or ideas or relationships or opportunities, and we put it on what is working. Even if you're having a really, really, really hard time, there is something. There is something that is working in your life. Maybe there is a relationship that is going really well. Maybe you had a laugh with your dog this morning. Maybe the sun is shining. Maybe you enjoyed a yummy, spicy cup of hot tea that just tasted so good. Maybe you did a workout today and you did weights and you felt strong. Maybe you fill in the blank. What's working now? And you can go down to the minutest, smallest thing. You know, my knee's feeling better. I had a lot of energy. I got an extra hour of sleep last night. I drank water today. The sky's the limit. The more you focus on what's working now, the more is going to keep working. It's going to start creating a knock-on effect and start to hit over in this area that has felt like the gravity and start to buoy it up. And it's going to open your mind into not high beta, alpha theta. Alpha theta is, I'm going to draw this little shape here. Alpha theta waves are the genius zone. When we get those going together, we are going into an innovative space, a creative space. But again, when we're focusing on problems and not listing all the things that are working, it's very hard to get into this space. All right, now what do we do next for step 3? So you look down at your journal. Maybe you wrote out your list of what's working now. And we're going to pull a move from another children's story in Not Wicked and Wizard of Oz. We're going to pull a move from Alice in Wonderland. If you recall, if you ever saw a movie of Alice in Wonderland or read the story when you were young, there is a beautiful line that I have never ever forgotten, and I've written it over and over in my journals, which is about the idea of impossibility. Remember, in Wicked, Elphaba does the impossible. She realizes that she herself can fly. She can make herself levitate. She can make objects levitate, that she was not limited by the constraints of the natural world. You're going to activate your supernatural self by playing the Alice in Wonderland game. And what that means is Alice makes a comment that someone is saying something's impossible. And she says, why, I regularly think of at least 6 impossible things before breakfast.
6 impossible things. Count them, Alice. 1. There's a potion that can make you shrink. 2. And a cake that can make you grow. 3. Animals can talk. 4, Alice. Cats can disappear. 5. There's a place called Wonderland. 6. I can slay the Jabberwocky.
Maybe it's 8, but I think of 6 impossible things before breakfast. You are going to then consider the thing that was weighing you down, and you are going to come up with 6 impossible things that would transform that situation. 6 absolutely fantastical, impossible things. And I love how she says before breakfast, because she's probably thinking of impossible things the rest of the day. The most important inventions in the world have come from people who refused to think about the possible only. Steve Jobs famously created a reality distortion field, right? We want to think about the thing that is ridiculous, that seems inconceivable. So for example, maybe let's go back to the financial concern situation. You just can't see how to get the car bill paid for or make the investment that you need in your vision. And the impossible thing would be someone would send you an email today and say there's been a mistake on your taxes and you're getting $10,000. It's like, even though you weren't planning on a refund at all, right? An impossible thing is that someone meets you at a yoga class next week and says, you know, I have been praying for something to invest in that matters. And I really, really, really love the work that you're doing. And I would love to come in as a silent partner and put forth an investment. An impossible thing might be that law changes and the thing that you were told you couldn't do because of the legal ramifications suddenly goes away. Now, I know these things sound ridiculous. They sound like make-believe, but that's the entire point. To activate the genius zone, we need to be able to think outside of the parameters of the gravity that's been holding us back. And a lot of things, in fact, every amazing thing was an idea in someone's mind that seemed impossible, and usually many people told them was impossible. But by committing to a practice every single day to defy gravity, to refuse to accept the limits because others say they're so, and to commit to lifting off and thinking of 6 or 8 impossible things before breakfast is going to put you in a different state of activation. You will literally be calling different ideas in from your subconscious, from the universe, just by doing this practice. The more fantastical, the better. The idea is to think of things that your negative, critical, rational mind would say, there's no way that can happen. Call these the gremlins, right? And we want to think of the 6 to 8 impossible things before breakfast. I have experimented with this multiple times with clients in Thought Leader Academy and on myself. And I will tell you that there are things that looked completely impossible that have absolutely come to pass in ways that shouldn't have happened otherwise. Absolutely. And you can watch some of the other videos to see my sort of co-creating in Science of Miracles downloads and those videos that we have to hear some of those stories. But I'll tell you one right now. I was at a place where I wanted so deeply to be able to build our business to 7 figures so that I could pay this team of amazing women that works with me, as much as I wanted them to. I wanted to break the cycle of unworthiness and poverty off my female family line that I'd felt that I'd inherited somehow. I wanted to have a playbook for other creative, amazing leaders like you all watching this to know that you can write books and give talks and create content and make millions of dollars through that in a way of high integrity and authenticity. I wanted it deeply. I felt called to it, but I could not see any way this could happen. It was July, and I made $300,000. Now, that's wonderful. It's abundant, but it was never going to get me what I felt so deeply moved to do in my soul for the people that I serve, for my family, for my son, for my husband, who is having a really hard time in his business. So What did I do? Started imagining impossible things. I started imagining investors. I started imagining creating a new product that suddenly went viral. I started imagining writing a book that 1 million people bought. Like, I just thought of 8 impossible things before breakfast. And what happened is that really none of the impossible things I imagined happened. I didn't get an investor. I didn't have some new product that went viral. But what did happen is I started clearing out the subconscious resistance, like in the ways that we do in these videos. And all of a sudden, very quietly, other ideas came in that also seemed impossible to get to $1 million by the end of the year. I saw myself just speaking to one group a month and reaching out to 3 people a week who would maybe want to be referral partners. Now, this does not look like a strategy that is going to get someone $700,000 in new sales in a 5-month period. And yet on December 10th of that year, we crossed the 7-figure mark for the first time and have continually done that and more in multiple sevens since then. It was a reality distortion field. It was the impossible. And so it doesn't matter that the ideas make any sense. It's the state of getting our brain into a space where we're going to let our subconscious show us the way that might not even look like it could ever be the way. Anyone who was a financial advisor would have looked at me and said, there's no freaking way you're doing it this year. Put that on your 3-year plan. But I wasn't willing to make the compromise because I was committed to thinking of 6 impossible things before breakfast. Okay, now let's keep going with our brains, because the next thing we want to do, I'm just circling this in my journal, we're going to use a brain prime to say, I already know the answer. So whatever it is you're struggling with that you don't know how to overcome, you don't know how to solve, you don't know how to change, you don't know how to fix, you're going to work with the prompt, writing it down. I already know the answer. I already know the answer. I already know. Now, your brain's going to fight you. No, you don't. You would have done it. No, you don't. You've been trying to solve this for 3 months or 3 years or 30 years. I already know the answer is going to stimulate the reticular activating system in your brain, and it's going to send your brain out to fetch you solutions. It's going to fetch you solutions, and you are going to start to build inside you. I already know the answer. I usually just repeat this for somewhere between 1 to 7 days. Just walking around, I already know the answer. I already know the answer. I already know the answer. And then I'll feel a certain point when I've said that enough times, even though I don't believe it. I then take out the pen. I then take out the notebook, and I say, I already know the answer, and the answer is. And you will write something. Your subconscious will have you write something down. And maybe you're going to write down one thing, and maybe you're going to fill a page with things. But you are going to write that down, and you're going to feel in your body a sense of truth when you hit something that's real. And you're going to know that that is the thing. That is the thing to move forward with. The way to actually lift off all of the things we've done so far are sort of preparation for actually taking flight. And the way we actually take flight is by moving into an action on one of those impossible ideas that you've had before breakfast, or the answer to, I already know the answer, or something that spontaneously emerged as you flipped your stone from problem to solution, or while taking a shower, naming all the things that are working now. These techniques all work together individually or in unison to bring forth the answer that's already within you. We have a saying at Thought Leader Academy that the answer is in the room. Or as the poet Rumi would say, what you are seeking is seeking you. I want to end with a brain activation because, that's what we do here. And I want to lock this in so that whether you want to use one of these or 2 of these or all 5 of these techniques this week, or the next time that gravity is pulling you down and you find yourself fixated and stuck in a loop with the problem side of your issue, you're going to commit to taking an action today. That is your homework from this video, is to take an action today on one idea that comes through as you flip to solution, as you make your list of what's working now, as you think of impossible things before breakfast or lunch or dinner or bed, as you train your brain to say, I already know the answer's in the room. And then you're going to move yourself, and you will feel the levitation start to take place. You will move yourself into flight when you action just one piece of one of those ideas. And the minute you do that, it's like a movie, like one of the dystopian movies where the whole new world, like Inception, starts building itself around that, because the minute you act, providence moves too, and doors open where there were no doors, and all manner of unforeseen things that could never have happened otherwise happen because you actioned one of those seemingly impossible ideas. It doesn't matter if it's random, it doesn't matter if it's tiny. If you got the impulse to, go work in your garden for an hour and that's all you got, do it. Because the minute you put your hands in the earth, the next one's gonna come in. If you get the impetus to call someone, email someone, even if it's scary, you're through accepting limits because others say they're so. So if you'll uncross legs, arms, roll your shoulders back, maybe close your eyes, take a deep breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. It's time to try defying gravity. And so I will end with this activation, just affirming that the answer is in the room, that what you are seeking is seeking you, that today is the day that changes everything, that you are no longer restricted by limits that others or your own mind has said are so. You are no longer inhibited by ancestral patterns, by epigenetics, by past traumas, by past experiences, by what the world says, by what the media says, by what the news says, by what the Dow investment levels are. You are unfettered, unchanged, liberated now. Your brain is poised and is a vibrational match and attuned only to your solutions, your freedom, your expansion, your abundance, and your success. And so we activate this now. And I want you to comment to me about what happens when you have now defied gravity. I'm so excited for you. Thanks for joining me. Be sure to subscribe, because we have a lot more activations coming, and I'm going to make sure you reach your goals this year. I'll see you next time.